Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. So it is Thursday, February 9th, right at 10:30. And as you can see, I'm out here in the bee yard. I have my jacket on, which means one thing and one thing only for this time of year. I'm about to get into the hive for its first inspection. All right, hey, let's talk about the weather real quick. So like I've done in the past, I'll talk about the weather stats from the iPhone app, which I believe is powered by the Weather Channel, and then tell you all the difference between whatever station that information picks up on in comparison to our accurate backyard weather station. So the phone app says it's 63 currently, and the high today will be at 3 p.m. 72 degrees, and the current humidity, since I share that all the time, is 73%. Now if I switch over to the Accurate app, it says the temperature is currently 69 degrees and the humidity is 53%. And then if I switch over to the hourly, let's see, 72 is the high at 3 p.m. So based off of the backyard weather temps, that's why I'm out here right now. Because if it was 63, I wouldn't be out here. I'd wait till early this afternoon. Other than just getting into the hive, looking around, seeing what the brood looks like, is I was looking back on a previous video that should be posted by now, and I was out here 2 weeks ago, just shy of 2 weeks ago, on January 25th. There was a break in our winter weather, which we get quite often, and I just cracked the hive bodies open or apart, the medium on top and the deep below, to check the food stores. And surprisingly, they didn't need any feed. It was still topped off. So since it's been 2 weeks since I checked them and they really didn't use any then, that's one of the main things I'm really looking at and curious about, to see if they've used any of the feed in the division board feeder. And the other thing, if you didn't see it in the intro as I was scanning the bee yard, is I've had these half-gallon mason jars out here just about the same time, so the last 2 weeks, and I don't know if that's evaporation or the pressure changing to where some of the sugar water is dripping, but I have not seen any bees actively on these open feeders since they've been out here. So I'm really not sure what's going on. I don't necessarily know what to make of that. And the last thing I'll talk about, I have some swarm traps up. Now there's no activity on any of those swarm traps, but Paul from Warden's Farm just texted me as I was walking out here, and check out this picture. That's right, we have our first swarm of the season, and he said it's about 50 foot up in a tree. So they got their work cut out for them. So this time of year, let's see, what should you be concerned with, right? February to March, before spring really sets in for our area and things are blooming to where the bees can get natural resources. I believe I have lost a few colonies this time of year from starvation, especially on like the tail end of winter, right before it becomes spring. So anyway, enough of me yapping. Let's enjoy the warm weather. Let's enjoy the first real inspection of 2023. Let's get into hive number 1 and see what they've been up to. All right, here we go. Really just wanted to show you all a first look. Haven't opened this hive in about 2 weeks. Surprisingly, they still have hard candy. So that's kind of new to me. I think I said this in the last video. I had hives go through 45 pounds of hard candy in a winter. But that is, looks like they barely touched it, really. So that's kind of odd. All right, let's move this candy board aside. Definitely the top box, clustered right there in the middle. Looks like they still have some nice food stores over there. So let's see what they've been up to. I'm gonna pull a few of the outside frames, give myself some space because I definitely don't want to damage the queen at all, especially this time of year. And then pull a few of these center frames and show y'all what that looks like. All right, here we go. Pulled 2 frames, slid the 3rd frame over, and here's the 1st frame on the other side. That we can see some bees working. So if you can't tell, hopefully that comes up. That small patch of the developed wax has quite a few wet frames, so they're doing something with either the sugar water I provided them or some natural resources they're bringing in. So there's some nice pollen right there, if you can see that. Some orange pollen there. There's our queen right there. All right, let's cage her real quick so we can move around the rest of the colony. Without having to worry about rolling her at all. Set her aside. All right, free to move about. All right, surprisingly, they still have a decent amount of honey on the outside frames here, which is a bit concerning because they're not really using any of their food stores. Let me put everything back real quick. That area I found the queen, you can see a small patch of eggs. So she started to lay and develop the next cycle of brood. However, it's only that small little patch that I saw any eggs. So it's something to keep in mind. All right, let me take this top box off, get into the bottom, look around, and I'll show you what I find. Some beautiful pollen on the pollen baskets of a few of the bees here. However, not much of a difference with the feed available to them, so I don't know what they're doing with it other than not really eating it. All right, I'm gonna dump that feed. I have a gallon to replace it with, and then I'll show you what the bees are up to here in the middle. All right, so I haven't looked in this box yet. However, I had the idea. The camera was resting on the box right next to it, which was the dead out from maybe a month ago, number 6, the hive that sat right next to it. And surprisingly, the bees haven't really capitalized on some of the food frames from this dead out. I thought this would be, you know, well cleaned out by now. So those are the 4 best frames. I'm gonna move those over into hive number 1 here in a second. Once I go through these frames, which I imagine probably doesn't have much going on, but at least it'll give them some direct food. Again, not sure why they haven't completely cleaned those frames up and robbed all the resources. But yeah, I'm gonna get them moved over and go through the bottom box and probably call it a day. All right, figured just let the camera roll. Outside frames, you know, like normal. You probably hear me say that a lot. Not much going on. That's kind of odd to see. Well, surprising. Some wet cells on that frame to include the frame next to it. So the bees that are in here, they're doing something. All right, not much to show. I'm just gonna pull all those frames out, dump the division board feeder like I said, scrape off the bottom board, just do some spring cleaning for them. Replace these 4 frames, leave 4 more, and then top off the division board feeder. All right, got everything pieced back together. I did not top off the division board feeder because it turns out that sugar water has probably gone bad. It definitely has a bad smell to it, so I'm not going to give that to the bees. So I need to whip up some sugar water today. So let's get the queen released, and then I'll be back out here this afternoon to give them some fresh sugar water. Where's she at? There she goes. All right, see you later. All right, decided to change something up with the candy board. So traditionally, I have the inner cover on top of the top bee box, and I decided to put the candy board on top. Probably should have did this with some of the other hives because it'll keep them better insulated than the candy board directly on top the top bee box, because there are some gaps and everything that the bees just don't have the resources to seal with propolis. So we'll see how that goes. And then the center hole in the inner cover, I just tore some of the wax paper away so the bees can actually get to it. So kind of curious to see if this just works better for them. All right, hey, thanks for watching, everybody. That does it for me. Pretty quick inspection, not much to really go through. I do have a few concerns. So it makes sense why the bees weren't taking any of the sugar water. Seems like it has gone bad sometime in the last few weeks. So that's my bust, and I imagine the same can be said for the sugar water in the feeder jars here. So I need to whip some up, like I said, and replace them. And I would be surprised if they don't take the fresh sugar water. So as y'all saw, hive number 1 is queen right. Small patch of brood up in the top box. 1 or 2 frames of bees, which in comparison to other beekeepers around here, it's got me thinking, I don't know, maybe they're just a slow starter, but I'll definitely keep my eye on them because I kind of feel like they should probably have some more brood than what I'm seeing right now. But what can you really do, right? So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. First real inspection of 2023. Appreciate everybody that has subscribed lately and all of the folks that continue to stay subscribed to our channel. However, most of our views come from people that are not subscribed. So if you would kindly do so, click that subscribe button. If you like the videos, give it a thumbs up. And we appreciate everybody that has joined us over the years on our beekeeping journey. All right, until next time, everybody. Hey, just a bit of a bonus clip from today's hive inspection. So like I said, I needed to whip up some sugar water because the feed I had in the hive, to include the feed I had over in the open feeders and some feed I had in the garage, all went bad over the last few weeks. So it happens. I try not to let it happen too often, but it does happen from time to time. So I ran over to Walmart and I could not believe my eyes with the sugar prices. $15.78 plus 2% for tax, $16.10 for a 25-pound bag of sugar. And I keep track of all of our expenses, and that got me to thinking, you know, how much was sugar a few years ago? So bear with me. So from 2021 to 2022, sugar shot up 27%. And then from last year, 2022, to this year, 2023, it rose another 12.9%. So between 21, 22, and now 23, a 25-pound bag of granulated sugar from Walmart has increased 40%. Absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, I'm just gonna slide the top box over, get into the feeder, which is now on the right side. That's typically where I put them, and top it off, and hive number 1 should be good to go for about maybe 2 weeks or so. Again, with the temps, I was looking at the 10-day forecast. We do have a few days closer to the 10-day time frame where the overnight temperature or early morning sunrise temperature will be right above freezing. So I'm not too concerned with the sugar water freezing, and maybe the bees not even having any by then. We're talking 10 days from now. Hopefully they consume it up in the next week. I'll check Probably next Friday sounds about right, or maybe Saturday. I'll check next Saturday. And if they have consumed it all up, I'll just make them some more. All right, bonus clip. Let's get into the hive, top off the division board feeder, and call it a day. Let's take a quick peek at the candy board since I'm out here, and since moving the candy board above the inner cover, hopefully that provides the colony a little more warmth. I don't know why I didn't think about that before, but okay. That's what I like to see. Seems like they're enjoying maybe the new location and direct access to it, coming straight up through the inner cover's center opening.